Let's turn our attention now to the race to succeed Governor Christie. It is heating up. There is a battle over ads and letters. One letter in particular causing all kinds of controversy. It was a letter circulated last week that attacked Kim Guadagno for an ad that she ran using Phil Murphy's own words about sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. The problem is the letter was circulated in Spanish and contained the names of several pastors in the Hispanic community throughout New Jersey, but the pastors, not all of them at least, they didn't know who the organization was. They had no idea where the letter was circulated from, and they never gave their permission to have their name included in this political attack. Diana Blass has the full story.
It's becoming known as Pastorgate, a campaign press release making the rounds in New Jersey that appears to show a handful of Hispanic pastors throwing their support behind Democrat gubernatorial candidate Phil Murphy. Some pastors now say they have no idea how they came to be on it. The release is written in Spanish and denounces Republican Kim Guadagno's campaign ad against Murphy titled Sanctuary. The press release describes the ad as, quote, a continuation of disguised racism that prevails in this country. It's said to be put out by the Coalition of Pastors in New Jersey in defense of Immigrants organization. But as Matt Rooney points out of SaveJersey.com, that organization might not even exist.
That's right. New Jersey makes business filings public. So we took a look at that. We went ahead and did simple Google News searches and record searches under both the English and Spanish spellings of this alleged coalition, and couldn't find anything, which is extremely unusual because that's what these organizations exist to do, right? They send out press releases and take positions on things.
The question now remains, who was behind it? Well, Phil Murphy's team says they didn't put it out, but they did applaud the pastors who signed on to the ad and came out against Guadagno's, quote, hateful ad. Meanwhile, Guadagno's campaign continues to push that Phil Murphy was behind the release and adds, quote, it should give all New Jerseyans pause that Phil Murphy would take advantage of men of the cloth to lie to the people of New Jersey. Her campaign is also asking for an apology. I'm Diana Blass reporting for Chasing News.
Okay, thank you, Diana. All right, I want to bring in one of those pastors who was mentioned in this letter that circulated around. His name is Pastor Jose Lopez, and he is the head of the Hispanic Pastors Association of Hudson County. Pastor Lopez, thank you for joining me on Chasing News. Good to see you.
Thank you, Bill. I'm delighted to be here.
So let me just ask you, you were not called, notified in any way that your name was going to be included in this political attack letter?
Never I get a call. I was in shock when one of my relatives brought me to my attention if I made some public statement related to my name and also our organization.
Thank you, Pastor Lopez. Appreciate the time. All right, let's bring in our A-plus panel. To break this down, weigh in on it, I want to introduce Jeanette Hoffman, Republican strategist. Always good to see you, Jeanette. Thanks for being here. And Bill Caruso, Democratic strategist. Bill, I'm going to start with you. How bad does this make your guy look?
I don't know how it makes Phil Murphy look bad here. I think it looks those that acted on whoever's behalf, that acted on their behalf, really bad. You don't put a letter out without people signing it or at least knowing about it and agreeing to it. But, you know, this is a campaign mess that goes back to the first debate. I think the candidate, Phil Murphy, made, I think, an inartful comment. That spun into the Guadagno campaign making an ad that probably went above and beyond where it should have gone, and now another campaign response that was a mess.
Jeanette, I mean, it looks like, Bill's position and some of the Democrats saying it went too far, but they're using Phil Murphy's own words. And by all accounts, this race is single digits now.
Absolutely. And clearly the Murphy campaign is really desperate if they're going as far to make up an organization that doesn't even exist and sign the names of pastors. They're forging the signatures of pastors. I mean, that's absolutely desperate and sloppy.
But the Murphy campaign denied having anything to do with it.
But you know what, this goes back because this race is getting closer. I think Kim put out a very powerful ad. Phil Murphy's own words says he wants New Jersey to be a sanctuary state. That makes our state unsafe.
Beyond the issue, though, and I certainly understand that point. I think that's got people all hyped up on both sides. But the question is, though, about this letter. You know, we don't know exactly who put it out yet. What we do know is Dan Bryan, who is Murphy's spokesman. First, he said, "Look, we had nothing to do with this. We didn't draft it. We didn't distribute it." But then he went and praised it and praised the pastors having the courage.
Listen,
you
if
got
I
to
were-
believe he knows that they weren't on there by their own.
If I were the Murphy campaign, I would be doing the exact same thing. Whether they had something to do with it or they deny they didn't, I would be praising it because it helped them, right? That's campaigns. That's what goes on. This was a mess at the campaign level. The main issue, by the way, which I think a majority of New Jerseyans agree with, isn't about sanctuary states. It's about this discussion of how we're going to work together with this immigrant population.
That's what Phil Murphy talked about in the debate. If it wasn't about sanctuary states, why is he talking about it in the debate? And back to your point, Bill, this letter and this group, no one's taking credit, then they're half taking credit. I think someone should investigate whether the Murphy campaign...
Who really cares about the letter?
Because honestly, it speaks to the kind of person, the kind of candidate that Phil Murphy is. Is he dishonest? Is he allowing people to forge the names of pastors?
I don't think
All right, we're going to, before we jump, I got to get to headlines, but I got to ask you both, is this race as close as some are now saying? Agree, single digits?
Yeah, well, the race is close. I don't know where it is right now, but and we all thought it was going to be this close.
I think it's going to close. The more people know about Kim Guadagno, the more people know about Phil Murphy, I think Kim's going to move forward.
Thanks. Here's a look at some of the headlines we're chasing for you tonight.